Hey guys, I'm going to wait until people start to enter the room. Just going to give it a few moments here. Okay, I'm just waiting for some people to enter the room. I have a really, really great commentary this evening. And if you're just entering, you missed my whole intro. So you're going to have to go back and look at my intro or rewind. I'm just trying to see how many people are going to enter the room in the next few minutes. While I eat my baked potato, seared salmon, and spinach. Hello. I'm just waiting for people to enter the room. At least say hello to me in the chat. Can we do that? I have the affairs and accidents with the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills this evening. So I think I'm going to go ahead and get right into it. And as you enter the room, just say hello in the chat. Talk to me. I may bring you on board with me, from the back room and hear what you have to say, but you'll have to show your face. Everyone who comes here has seen my face. So, um, this is the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. It came on last night, you guys. This is their season 11. And I don't know how they do this. I think they always number the seasons one season behind because this is actually season 12. But it says season 11 and it's episode 10. And it's named Affairs and Accidents. And if you saw the show last night, you know why it's called Affairs and Accidents. That title is all about Erika Jayne, okay? Erika Jayne Girardi or Erika Girardi. Hi, everyone. Just say hello to me in the chat. You missed my whole intro. I worked real hard on it. So I want you to, if you're here, to at least go back and look at the intro, you know. But this is the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and I was just waiting for some more people to come into the room, say hello in the chat, and then, I can really go in hard and get started. If you hear me chopping and eating, I am eating. I'm eating seared salmon that we made ourselves, baked potato, and sauteed spinach, not cream spinach, but sauteed. I was raised, you always have to have some green. So, you know what? Instead of waiting, I'm going to go ahead and get right into it because I have some other things, other videos that I need to prepare for and even study for, especially the one that I have coming up on Saturday, Saturday morning coffee with me. So you can come on Saturday, 11:30 Eastern Time, and we're going to talk about some events this week, including the interview that Candy Online did this week, and also Britney Spears and some other things that are happening in the news. And we're going to talk about how you feel about the opportunity one day to be able to travel into space and if that will ever happen given the age that we're living in. So I'm going to get right into this Beverly Hills, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. This is Blog Media Breeze. As you can see, that's the title of this YouTube channel. My name is Bree, and I come on here. I talk about the Real Housewives. I talk about in the news or end of the week news. And I also talk about something that I have not talked about in a while, which are employment issues. And we will touch on that a little bit on Saturday because I'm having some serious, uh, the devil is in the workplace through Zoom. And the devil is very clear. And so I want to talk about that this weekend. Um, so, you guys, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills last night opened up with Erika. Um, they were showing the way that it ended last week, where she was sitting there talking to Kyle and she was crying. They were in a pity party, and it, I was trying to have some pity, because most of you who come to this channel, I'm a godly woman. I am a daughter of the utmost high God in heaven through Jesus. Am I a daughter? Not anything on my own, recognizances or anything, but it's through the Lord. So if I see someone who is destitute or someone who is struggling, I do my very best to try to relate to them on the level that I may have felt that way at one point in my life. So I tried to do that with Erika. I tried to do that with Erika, and I was able to reach out spiritually in the way that I understood the sorrow she was feeling. What I couldn't get past was what brought her to that sorrow. What brought her to that sorrow, because I now am seeing it as a self-pity party for herself. She's sorry for what she is going through, but she's not sorry for what the victims are going through. These families that Tom took this money from. And you guys get down in the chat and tell me what you think of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Do you watch it? Because sometimes people come on here and they don't even watch it. So it moves on to the next scene, and it shows Kyle and Sutton sharing their sorrow for Erika. They're on the phone and they're talking about how awful they feel about what she is going through. And then the next scene comes, Erika is selling the clubhouse. The clubhouse was her entertainment house. It's where she got ready for her events. And it was really pretty much her office to some degree. It had all her fashions and everything in it. And so she was walking through, and the cameras kept showing some reminiscent views about what she did in the clubhouse. And she was, she's selling it. And she was talking about how sad she was to be selling it. I wonder what the money went to that she sold it for, you know? Then We transition to the next scene and they show Kyle's beautiful desert home. Kyle is on the phone with I keep forgetting her name. Oh my goodness, this is awful. The new African American female, I cannot remember her name. This is oh my goodness. Okay, anyway, Garcelle Bouveau. She's on the phone with her, and Garcelle is talking about how she will not be able to make it to Kyle's clubhouse that night anyway. But their home, Kyle's home in the desert, is beautiful. They call it La Quinta. So it's their La Quinta home in the desert, and really, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. So Lisa is the first one to arrive, and Kyle puts her in what she calls the casita room, which to me looked like one of the better rooms there at the house. And then, later on, the other ladies arrive. Kathy drives 2 hours by herself, and now her knees are hurting. And she needs a man to help her bring in her luggage from the vehicle. She said she's not driven that long in a long time, and she did it by herself. So she sounded like she was proud of doing that. And before I go on, I want to just wait and see if anyone else comes into the room. I just want to see tonight. I said I was going to give this a try to see how many people would actually come into the room. Or if you catch me on the replay, leave a message. And if you feel it, if you feel like you want to hit the like, subscribe, and notifications bell, you can do that. If you don't feel like that, then you can still watch. I had to move this mic. I don't want to eat in you guys' ears. But this salmon is delicious all by itself. I don't even need the other stuff. I like to mix my food. I don't even need to mix it. It's just like really sauteed. It's delicious. Um, so Kathy has driven 2 hours. So we move next to Crystal's confessional. And in her confessional, she has this pink and sparkly top on that I did not like. But I digress on that. I'm not feeling Crystal's fashions, not a whole lot. I like Crystal. I like Crystal. People are saying some things out there about her that make her look a little imbalanced or sound a little imbalanced. And I don't think that's it at all. I think that she is trying to participate in the show. And in some areas, she has been forced to participate in a way that she didn't want to participate, by Sutton. So I digress on that anyway. They are unpacking the grocery, Kyle, and they are all at La Quinta, the desert home, which is gorgeous, and they're unpacking the grocery. And they show Dorit, they show Dorit saying something about the government has frozen all of Tom's assets. And because at least 2 million was inappropriately used. This was not actually in her confessional. This is her talking to the girls after she arrives. Kathy is already there. Um, Crystal is there, and Dorit is just sharing this information. The government has frozen all of Tom's assets, and at least 2 million was inappropriately used. So this is the first time that we hear the ladies get news about what Erika is going through. So someone else brings up the fact that Erika failed to listen to the court orders and that they owed $2 million to orphans and victims of the plane crash. I think that was Kyle who brought that up. And Crystal says none of it makes sense to her because of Tom Girardi's wealth. So the whole issue doesn't make sense to her because, as far as she knows, Tom Girardi is wealthy. So how did he get himself into this mess? Greed. Okay. Greed. Greed is a word that was created for a reason. There are people out in this world who are greedy. And they don't think of anyone else. They don't even think about the fact that they could be blessed if they did the right thing. And look at where greed gets you. It gets you to the other side where you will not be blessed, but you might be going to prison even at 80 years old. 82. He's 82 now. But, you know, they call Erica on the phone, or Erica calls them, and they're all giggly with her. Oh, get over here. Come on over here. And you all, isn't it funny how they were just talking crap about Erica and then they called her and their whole attitude changed? I mean, they were just talking about Tom's frozen assets. They were talking about the $2 million owed to orphans and victims. Crystal saying none of it makes sense. And now they call Erica and tell her to hurry up and get over there. So I guess they want her to hurry up and get over there so she can start the story because they know it's true, and this is going to bring some excitement to Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Okay, so they're like, get over here so we can talk about this while the cameras are on. Um, so Kyle and Kathy do seem to be getting along fine for the first time, and I'm glad because there was another vlogger. I'm not going to say her name, but she comes on with two other guests often every week, and she also does this segment on her channel of YouTube. And in the beginning, before the show even started, the news was that Kyle, Kathy's sister, would be joining the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So the the other vlogger over here on YouTube kept saying that that Kathy was going to make Kyle look bad. And I haven't seen that. I like the way that they're getting along, or the way that they're trying to transition into, a new phase of their relationship. And, this happens sometimes with siblings. Sometimes your relationships change. They really do change as you grow older. They will either mature, or you could grow apart depending on the experiences you've had within your households or with each other. And I remember the first time I knew that I was a woman, but I'll digress. We'll talk about that another time. But I think that people go through changes. And so they all hug Erica. Erica arrives. They all hug her. Sutton, Kyle, they all hug her. And they try to tell her it's going to be okay. And she just is antagonistic. She says, it's not going to be okay. And it's not going to be okay for a long time. She says that to the ladies, okay? That's my Erica voice, in case you guys are wondering. In her confessional, she says, every day I wake up and it's something new. It's all bad all the time. And, you know, that statement right there, I think that my spirit to some degree connected with her and how she was feeling about life. And I wanted to give her a hug in spite of what the public is feeling about her. I was like, I want to give her a hug. But then a few scenes later, I kind of changed, and we'll get to that. Um, it amazes me how the women, though, are really pampering her without really knowing the whole story. And I'm not a LVP. What is it, Lisa Vanderpump? I'm not a fan. At the same time, no one came to her rescue. No one hugged her about what she was going through. And I digress on that as well. They're all sitting around the table eventually. Um, well, before I get to that, Kathy and Kyle are making a mess of the kitchen. Kyle is just trying to put things together very quickly, and because she's trying to put things very quickly, everything's just falling out of the cabinet. But in the end, the lasagna turns out really good. I don't like the idea of people not knowing, and especially women, okay, not knowing their way around the kitchen. Why would Kathy open a drawer and get something you put on food to sweep up glass off the floor with? to me, a lot of people are making fun and they're making light of it, but I just want to go ahead and say that's ignorant. That's ignorance, okay? And I like Kathy. She's kind of kooky, funny. Seems to be some other things going on there. I digress on that. At any rate, they're sitting around the table and they're eating the lasagna, and the lasagna does look good. They say Kyle is a good cook, and I have to believe that because Mauricio looks like he like he he's not overweight or anything, but he looks like he's ethnic looking. Okay, and we all know that people who are those of us who are ethnic looking, we like good food. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to say about Mauricio. Um, so Erica starts saying that she's not talking to Tom right now, and to um, there's not a reason to do that because they filed for divorce, and she keeps saying that he can't see, he can't hear, and he's unraveling. I don't know. She's saying he's unraveling, meaning he's losing it. Well, I guess anyone who's going through something like that would be unraveling because now what you had is no longer yours and it's about to all be taken away from you. And you've got to learn to live either live a different lifestyle or live in prison. And he doesn't know which one is going to happen to him right now. So she missed her court date, or she didn't miss the date. She didn't go because it was in Chicago. Well, that's crazy. You should have at least shown up. It's a federal court. Erica also gives off the sense of, you know, white woman entitlement. Why didn't she go to court? She could afford to take a plane into Chicago, you know, get a hotel or Airbnb or something and stay there and go to court like she's supposed to. That's what that kind that's happening a lot in this country, and many of us who are ethnic actually are beginning to see it, and it's white woman entitlement. They think that they're beyond the law, they're beyond doing anything to black people, they're beyond all of this. And that whenever I heard she didn't show up in court in Chicago, that really I was like, okay, are you kidding? You could have at least shown up. Um, so they go on and they Kathy starts to say, marriage is based on trust. And that she said that, you don't always know what you're getting yourself into with your husband. I guess wealthy white women don't know what they're getting themselves into with their husbands. We know what we're getting ourselves into with our husbands, okay? She says that if her husband asked her to sign something, she just said, just sign it. And he would tell her, where the X is, and she would just sign it because she trusted her husband. She didn't read the paperwork. And so, based on that happening in her marriage, she identifies with Erica not having knowledge about Tom being in this disgraceful situation that he's found himself in. So, Kyle and Crystal, they talk about it in the kitchen. Kyle goes out to check on the food or whatever, or the dessert, and they're talking about it in the kitchen. And they are all just really making all kinds of excuses for it. Sutton is the only one who with whom the light bulb has gone off. She's trying to relate. Um, uh, I didn't like the way she tried to relate. She's sitting on the couch with Erica, and she says that her dad died of suicide 2 days before Christmas, and how that has haunted her. And people, if your friend or someone is going through something, and there's like Erica's going through what she's going through, what Sutton went through is not really relative. What was her point? Was she trying to say she's in a worse off predicament than Erica? Because even though Erica has not lost anyone to death over this or suicide, the feeling can be as bad. And I just digress on that. I don't know why Sutton shared that, but it was interesting at the same time because the cameras revert back to when her mother had visited her at Sutton's, her new retail shop, and she named it. The signature that is on Sutton's is actually her dad's signature. So um, I just want to pause here and say, you guys can get down in the comments and say something, okay? I think I'm going to pause here just to see if anyone else comes in. I don't like trolls, you know? And some of you seem like trolls, like you're not here for anything. And some of you may be people I work with. Maybe that's why you're doing that. If you are, you're the devil. Take that, okay? And you can come back on Saturday when I'm really talking about you, okay? I'm not going to digress over that. So, for those who come in on the replay, it has been a terrible time in corporate America for me, and I want to share it, and I'm kind of pissed about it, so I want to get it all out. I have some things to get off my chest about it. And I do believe sometimes um, it's some of the people I work with, or maybe their attorneys or whomever coming in here on the Zoom, I mean, on the live, because of the types of comments that are left for me. So I digress with that. Let me move on with this. At any rate, um, where did I get to? Okay, the flashback with Sutton. Okay, um, Sutton's mom is saying to her, because Sutton wants her mom to be more sympathetic about her dad. She wants her to help her to, you know, honor him in some kind of way. And as a mother, why can't you do that one thing for your daughter? Regardless of how you felt about your husband, why can't you do that one thing for your daughter? Help her to honor him, in unity in some way. But her mom, and I understand this by her mom as well. Sometimes you guys, I can think duplicitous in a duplicitous manner. I understand this because her mom says it was my marriage to him, not yours. And Sutton says, well, I just want you to miss him or something like that. And she says, but I don't miss him. So I was like, wow. I mean, that's the truth. When you hear a woman say that, she tells Sutton she doesn't miss her dad, you know? It was my marriage to him, not yours, and my relationship with him was different than your relationship with him. And I don't miss him. The man committed suicide and she doesn't miss him. So you all, that means something was going on and going down in that marriage. Something was going down in that marriage. She doesn't even miss him. And I'm going, wow, you know? Um, so the next scene, of course, and maybe I am all over the place here, but they're still eating, um, or at least I thought they were getting ready to eat the lasagna or something. But earlier, whenever I talked about it, maybe they weren't eating the lasagna. Maybe this was kind of a fellowship before they start to eat the lasagna. Because Kathy and Cal are over there by the lasagna. Kathy is going up the stairs with her suitcase, and Dorit comes to help her. And Dorit says in her confessional, she's so used to everyone doing everything for her. So Dorit was obliged to help her. Erika and Lisa are outside and they're talking about the heated pool. And Erika tells Lisa that she has a new appreciation for bills because for 20 years, her pool was heated and she never saw the bill. She never paid it any attention. She could just get in it when she wanted to. And now that she has her own place that has a heated pool, she got the bill and she's like, oh, I'm turning this heat off. you know, I thought that was a cute scene. at the same time, Erica did not come from money. I mean, she's from South Georgia, for crying out loud, or is it Atlanta? If she's from South Georgia, I mean, she definitely should know what it's like to get a bill, you know? So I didn't understand that. How do you get so far that you forget about those types of things? So, um, and why would she be in a home with a heated pool? I mean, she should just really be in a condo and save as much money as she possibly can so she can help pay off those victims, because she was married to Tom. Regardless of what she says, she was married to him. She keeps trying to talk down about him. So that lets you know right there, it was never love. It was never love, because why is she continuing to talk down about him? So as they're getting ready to eat their lasagna, and again, I know I said this earlier, but this is actually the point when they're eating the lasagna. I noticed that there is on the table a nice bottle of Robert Mondavi. Okay. And I used to drink Robert Mondavi all the time. Anyone who has ever had it knows you can go in the grocery store, you can get it for under $20. Although their wine may have been differently because they're in California where all the wineries are. And Robert Mondavi does have a different sect of wine in certain areas. Uh, but I liked seeing the Robert Mondavi there. Now I'm more of a Kendall Jackson um, type of person, and yeah, I'm more of a Kendall Jackson than Robert Mondavi. And so, let's see. The next thing is they're sitting at the table, they're talking about the new moon. And when there's a new moon, you have to get rid of all your toxic energy, even if it means blowing, making a statement and blowing out a candle or anything like that. And this is the part that made me name this, that Erica says she's never confessing, okay? Because in this scene, Erica makes a very telling comment, because sometimes your conscience tells on you. Whenever you are feeling free and you start to say things, your conscience tells on you. She says that she would do anything to get out of the mess she's in. She said, I will do anything, but I'm not confessing. I'm not going to any confessionals. She's not confessing, you guys. What is it that she's not confessing? And why even bring that up? They were talking about a new moon and getting rid of toxic energy, and you could just say something and blow out a candle, and some other avenues that you can take to get rid of the toxic energy. And she says she will do anything except go to a confessional. I'm not confessing anything. So I just thought that was real telling of her. Is she not confessing that she knew all along what Tom was doing? Is she not confessing that this divorce is just uh, a way to catapult what is really going on? You know, Kathy goes on to say in this same meeting around the table, the richest man in the world will take back his jewelry. I'm like, these things are so trivial compared to what most of us experience, which is probably why we watch them, right? It's so trivial. Um, Lisa Renna in her confessional says the last time she saw Tom was at their house. He seemed very charming and fine. And she goes on to say, she couldn't tell anything was wrong, but maybe something was going on. So, and that was what, last year? Okay. Um, and in Dorit's confessional, I have to tell you, I love Dorit's clothes. Dorit can dress. She has on this black um, top. I don't know if it's a dress or if it's just a top part of something, but it's coming off her shoulders. It's roughly, and you can tell it's real. It's real expensive, whatever it is. And then her necklace. You guys, her necklace looked like a one of a kind. It was so beautiful. I really liked it. Dorit always looks beautiful, and she has the most gorgeous brown eyes on any person I've ever seen. Just gorgeous. So Crystal goes on to tell a story about her dad. When she tries to fit in with this story, I could see Crystal's trying to fit in. She hasn't really said anything at the table, so this is her turn. And she goes, my dad would hit his head if he forgot things. He would just hit his head. And for her, that was frightening. So the women ignore that. Okay, next. They get into this, you guys. And this is why Bravo named this Affairs and Accidents. That's the name of last night's Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. It's called Affairs and Accidents. They start talking about Tom's accident. And Erika says that, he was in this accident. And then Kyle says, yeah, I remember you telling me about that. And Erika says, yeah, I told you about the accident. I just didn't tell you about the rest of it. And you guys, the rest of it is this. I need to give you a picture, okay? They live in Pasadena, which is kind of like a suburb of Los Angeles, wealthy suburb of Los Angeles. And I went on, I used to live in California as well, but it's been many, many years, right? So I went on YouTube and I searched, because on YouTube they have these videos of people just driving in major cities in the United States and in other countries in South Africa, Europe, and you can just watch them drive through certain areas, right? And so I went on, and you have to search for 4K as in 4,000. So 4K drive around Pasadena, right? And I'm just like looking at this video trying to find a cliff. Now, I don't know, maybe he went off a cliff in another part of California, but I was thinking, let me just see if Pasadena has any cliffs. I saw picturesque mountains, right? But I didn't see a cliff. So Erica tells the rest of the story. She said that with his accident, he incurred a head injury, he broke his shoulder, snapped his ankle, broke his clavicle, and he was unconscious for 12 days. No, for 12 hours. He was unconscious for 12 hours. And then she called him. She called him, right? So when did you call him? Because that's how she found out. They asked her how she found out. She found out because she called him. But when you called him, was he unconscious or was he still hanging from the cliff? Had he gone to the hospital? You guys, I want to see the car. I want to see the car that went off the cliff that caused him to be 12 hours unconscious. Did he go to the hospital? What hospital did he go to? Who was the doctor? Can we at least get that much? And then at some point, I believe in that same discussion, they said he was with, hey Janice, how are you? Do you watch The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills? And what do you think of Tom's story? Where are you from, Janice? Interesting. Listen, if you guys are trolling me, don't, okay? Because I will block you. So I'm going to finish telling this. Um, she says that she didn't tell Kyle about all of these other things. She didn't tell Kyle about Tom's 12 hours of unconsciousness and head injury and his breaking his shoulder because she didn't want to ruin his reputation. He cared a lot about his reputation. But you told her about him snapping his ankle. So why wouldn't Erica have told them in full about the accident? Now, there were some photos a couple of years ago of Tom, and he had a bandage on his head. So there were some photos of him then. So you do watch the show. So there are no clips. If you like I was saying earlier, if you go and you can go onto YouTube. YouTube has these videos where that people create where they are driving in major cities in the United States and some of the major countries in the United States, small towns. They have one on Potomac, they have them on all over LA, and there is one on Pasadena. So you can search 4K, that's 4,000, 4 and a K, uh, 4K driving around Pasadena, and you will see there are no cliffs in Pasadena, at least where this person has chose to videotape anyway. So Sutton asked the major question. She goes, "Was the car totaled?" And I did not hear Erica answer that. I just want to say, allegedly, this sounds like a lie. It sounds like a lie. And Erica's one of those people in her confessionals, she'll say something with a straight face. So she's one of those straight face liars. So, and at some point, she said something about him being in the accident and he was with some other woman when they had the accident. Well, what happened to her? Did she fall off the cliff? Has anyone seen her since the accident? It is just, the ladies all look baffled. Their whole faces, their expressions were like, oh, they're like, oh no. I mean, Erica's just telling one after the other. And I am wondering if this is a ploy to get them to believe that Tom has Alzheimer's because she was going around trying to say that he had Alzheimer's. So that's what I'm wondering, you know, and Kathy is putting her own experience onto Erica. And Kathy, honey, sit back sometimes, okay? Because this is a very different experience than what you had with Rick. Okay, Rick was a cheater. Okay, you should have divorced him a long time ago, quite frankly. Um, but to put your experience onto Erica is two totally different experiences. That is not Erica's experience, in my humble opinion. Kathy says to Kyle, well, he made her to feel like it was her fault. That's what Kathy is saying about Erica, that Tom made Erica to feel like it was her fault. But really, Kathy, that's probably what Rick did to Kathy in their marriage. And so she's now putting that off on Erica. I digress. Um, Sutton calls the divorce like something out of a movie, a Lifetime movie, Sutton, okay? And, Lisa Renna, bless her heart. Um, how did Scott Disick get in the middle of this conversation? She just brings up Scott Disick's name just always out of nowhere. You could be just driving, minding your business, listening to music, and she brings up Scott Disick. She says, you know, guess what Harry said this morning? How did Scott Disick get into our lives? Lisa, whatever. You know, whatever. You really are you're reaching here, okay? So I'm going to that's it for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and that's what I have for you. But I want you to, honey, this was just the beginning. Did you see the episodes that are going to follow? They're going to show. Now, this is when Kyle, because Kyle loves her man. Whatever Mauricio says goes according to Kyle, honey. She loves that man. So you're going to see Kyle talking to Mauricio, and also PK is there. And they are saying about Tom and Erica, it's all a bunch of lies. They tricked you, blah, blah, blah. So they are saying all of this in the upcoming episodes. And that is why, like, I think today or yesterday, I think it was page 6 or one of them, and I'm not sure, so I'm not going to quote page 6 or anything, but I do remember reading that Kyle um, has kind of turned on Erica at this point. Not in a bad way or a mean way, but she's changed her mind. Not really turned on her, but she's changed her mind from the way she was thinking in last night's episode. And I believe that her husband has a lot to do with that. And Dorit has also changed her process. The only one who hasn't really changed is Lisa Renna. I mean, is she not one for Cuckoo Puffs? Okay. Um, yeah, Kathy, people are saying Kathy is a little off. There's another vlogger on YouTube who just loves Kathy and she's pushing Kathy. I think she's pushing Kathy because whoever her connection is at Bravo wants her to push Kathy. She's probably being paid to push Kathy. And I want Kathy to stay on the show. Kathy seems like a warm-hearted, nice individual. Um, and that's all I have to say about that. I want her to stay on the show. I don't think she's a Lisa Vanderpump the way that people are trying to say. I think she's very different from Lisa Vanderpump. But you guys, I'm excited to see the succeeding episodes. They are going to be off the chain. And thank you guys for coming on here and listening to me. And come again Saturday morning. I'm going to do Saturday morning coffee with Vlog Media Breeze, where we talk about events of the week. We'll be talking about Britney Spears. We'll be talking about um, Candy Online did an interview with Nivea. I think that's how you pronounce her name. But I was watching the interview. I'm not familiar with the young lady, but I was watching the interview because I do watch Candy Online. However, the interview was quite disturbing. So I'm gonna talk about that and kind of break that down on Saturday morning coffee. So come on and have coffee with me on Saturday, okay? It's at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And so this is Vlog Media Breeze, and I'm checking out. And as always, you guys, many blessings to you and have a great week.